So the series at present, with the emphasis on Elven Wizardry, the goal is not so much to be an emphasis on the magic, what has been defined as magic by the New Age per se. We've covered practical magic, practical mysticism fairly extensively, as it's seen as a form of wizardry and sorcery and whatnot. The elves, on the other hand, well, the elves see all things as magical. They see all things as magical and as extensions of the natural, not something that's supernatural. What we are going to do is to try to preserve a tradition that is basically being lost, even among the regions and secret lineages where it was once quite rampant. Occult traditions like the Freemasons and Golden Dawn have been forced to open their doors of membership to all, not exclusively to just those of the secret elitist chain, in order to just preserve their system and membership dues and what have you. But the Elven-Ffayrie matters are innate and driven by inclination. Those seeking the Elven way will not find a secret organization that they can gain admittance to, as nature alone becomes the absolute instructor to those initiated into her mysteries. So then, instead, we will try to provide you with a talisman of starlight to shine brightly where others have failed, for the seekers of a true otherworld tradition. To outline what we intend to do forthcoming is to focus first and foremost on the history of the Elves and Faerie as a genetic race here on the planet. The Elven histories are plural because they involve not only the story of elves, but the genesis of modern humans as well. They chronicle the development of the varying races and cultures. So you will learn the secret history as we explore the suppressed and misunderstood journey into ancient Europe, including the Anunnaki star people and Ubaid priesthood of ancient Sumeria, pre-Eden life, the Mesopotamian Garden of Eden, Egyptians, Babylonians, and finally the dispersion of the Faerie race across the great continent into Celtia, or the western shores, Europe, with the eventual rise of the humans, or Milesians. The Elven-Ffayrie were mostly driven out of civilization altogether, and received intensive persecution from humans, their religious leaders, rooted in politics and the suppression of truth, which were certainly not the holy messages that these human religious leaders were proclaiming on the surface. Still, the Elven tradition survived the malice, transforming, evolving through necessity, as most of these enlightened folk transitioned permanently into the Hollow Hills, otherworld, or higher spatial dimension, which is often equated with the astral plane. Then, upon the completion of the Elven histories, we will explore the nature of this interdimensional Faerieland, the manner of its existence, its relationship with the physical plane. This includes the way in which the planes and their inhabitants interact and affect one another. With resurfacing and interest in the works of Robert Kirk, the famous first-hand initiate of the Otherworld tradition, will be able to really understand stuff of a similar nature from those accounts. Understand that the Elven way is quite colorful and variegated, like the rays of light manifested in a rainbow. These rays become powerful co-magicians when employed by the awakened mind of the wizard, as we will see in our investigation into the mystical side of the Elven tradition. We will learn some practical magic from 2 grimoires, or magical notebooks, chronicling 2 systems of magic which were taught in succession in the universal schools of Merlins and Wizards and Druids and what have you. Combined, they form what is called the Elven-Ffayrie Book of Enchantment and Magic, more commonly known as the Book of Light. But in the first volume, the Elven-Ffayrie grimoire, the art of elementalism is revealed, or that is to say, the ritual and ceremonial use of the forces of nature, and the enchantments and rites contained therein compose the basis of what whole modern magical traditions have been based on. It would seem that the practices of later would-be wizards and folk witches were actually based on the observations of what they saw or were taught concerning the magical practices of the Elven race before its underground suppression. Then the second volume is a notebook or grimoire called the Greenwood Forest Grimoire, and unarguably parallels the woodland magic of the Ovith or Ovates, the second degree initiates as taught by the ancient orders of Druids. Here, the magical properties of the rays of light and energetic currents of nature, specifically like trees, are generally cataloged for use, energetic channeling, light work, and this magical curriculum or paradigm has been set out or designed to aid in guiding the modern Elven wizard or seeker, or even the curious that is on this softly beaten path through the enchanted forest. So our goal is to really bring this tradition, the Edaphic tradition, the tradition of the earth, soil, to light, and in more detail than has been done in the past.